Call of Duty has lost its mind as Black Ops 7 goes nuts. Do you know what I think of when I think of a Call of Duty game? I think of a massive undead zombie soldier that's 1,000 foot tall, just exploding all over the battlefield, folks. That's what I think when I think of Call of Duty, if I was in some Fortnite acid dream. Ever since that franchise went over to Xbox as part of Activision Blizzard, Call of Duty, just like most of the gobbled up Xbox franchises, has gone through the floor. And, I want to give people a visual example of this.
Oh, boy.
So thank goodness for bookmarks, ladies and gentlemen. That'll do. Courtesy of VG Times, quote, Black Ops 7 campaign gets slammed online. Players call it absurd and nonsensical. Well, you think?
So just like any other Activision Blizzard game.
What the fuck is this?
I mean, Call of Duty was always glossy crap, basically, from the very first one.
It's a 50-foot tall white man, the biggest enemy of the developers of the woke Call of Duty franchise.
Guys, I'd rather Kevin Spacey return to Call of Duty than play this, folks. Right? What the fuck are we doing? What is this? This isn't Call of Duty.
It looks like the God of War, but with guns, proper
It looks
guns.
like something out of Doom. First thoughts, gentlemen. Triton.
I would say the movements on the creature design kind of make me think back to the Collector, like Human Reaper from the end of Mass Effect 2.
Yes, it looks just like that. How it's operating, how it's
the movement model, the telegraphing of the large arm swipe overhead. I remember, playing as Shepard, trying to duck behind cover as collectors were sent out to swarm, and after you clear them out, you can take a shot at the eyes, which were glowing red, just like this creature model on screen in that whatever the hell that is.
Okay, Triton, what game is this from? Because this does not look like Call of Duty.
I don't know. It looks like reminds me of like a Borderlands type of game. Like, this is definitely not Call of Duty. It's definitely not a Warzone game at all.
What the fuck is this?
What?
Wait a minute, did he just get eaten by
Call of Duty? This is not Call of Duty. Isn't Call of Duty supposed to be a Warzone game?
That looks like a shot from one of Dicker's colonoscopies.
Oh my god! We'll get to Dickers later, but Jose, right? What are your first thoughts on battling a giant blood flower in Black Ops 7?
First of all, I've seen what my mother plants outside, so this might be my future within like 3 years' time. But that being said, it's not Call of Duty. This is embarrassingly ridiculous. This is just one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. This is par for the course for Activision Blizzard Microsoft whatever it is. We've seen World of Warcraft also become ridiculous and absurd and lose its identity. Now we've got 50-foot tall white men in Call of Duty, which is obviously the biggest threat to these black DEI lesbians. But the one thing that they made the mistake of is that modders are going to have a field day with this. I can't wait until modders turn this in like a 50-foot tall Michelle Obama, a 50-foot tall Jeffrey Epstein. You're gonna see like Chris Chan up there like fighting you 50 feet tall. Like, there's gonna be modders that are gonna take this and turn it into the biggest shitpost imaginable, and it's not gonna do any wonders for Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I think that this game is a joke.
The flower, folks. The flower gets replaced with Cyrax, and when the flower's head opens up, it will be Cyrax's maggoty brain, folks. Type in Cyrax lolcow on YouTube and you will see horrors beyond your comprehension. But before we go into this topic in any like real detail, folks, I think it's important to get to get more of a context for this situation. So, gamers have finally made it to the Black Ops 7 campaign, and many are calling it one of the weirdest and weakest in the series. Well, that's putting it lightly. Here's what people are complaining about. Enemies have levels, guns come in rarity tiers, and the whole progression system is built around constantly upgrading your gear. That seems more like a role-playing game than...
That's what Crichton said. That's Borderlands. That's essentially Borderlands.
It's ridiculous, folks. Call of Duty is supposed to be an action-oriented, single-player story game with no real choice. You're just playing the campaign and going through a linear story with lots of fantastical levels full of detail, and you shoot bad guys. Okay, that's Call of Duty. And for the online element, they take that element and apply it to a multiplayer setting. Almost every mission ends with a boss fight. Giant flowers, mechs, teleporting soldiers, and even a massive Harper, the guy, the 50-foot tall guy. Players say it feels more like Borderlands than Call of Duty. Again, fantastic point. The campaign is clearly designed for a 4-player squad. Playing solo makes missions feel empty and dragged out, so there's not a lot of detail in these missions because you need a cooperative environment to fully function within them. The most talked about moment, a mission where your squad teams up with zombie. What? A lot of fans are seriously questioning if this is even a real campaign or just some kind of test P versus E event. And this folks, I can't look at this anymore. It is absolutely insane. All right. This is crazy. This is unbelievable. And I don't think this is on in the long term. It shouldn't be on.
It's not Call of Duty at that point if they keep doing stuff like this.
No, of course not. I think Triton has hit the nail on the head here. Right? Call of Duty. Okay, folks, 7 Black Ops games is too many games, okay? You know you're running out of ideas when a potted plant is a boss. Except for Super Mario. They had a reason for doing that.
First Resident Evil had one, Plant 42.
And yeah, but they were more original and imaginative examples. But Plamini, after seeing all of that, what do you make of this crazy situation?
To me, like, I never really cared about like Call of Duty, never played it, but I know what it is, and this doesn't look like Call of Duty because it looks like a God of War game. If someone like gave Kratos a gun instead of an axe, or if someone made like a 50-foot tall instead of a Greek god, it's just like a random white guy. I have no idea what this is, honestly.
It's ridiculous. This fits much more with God of War and with Borderlands than it does with Call of Duty, folks. We're just going to hit this nail right on the head because it's a big problem. When games go against their origins, they are not long for this world. What are they going to do with Black Ops 8? Are they just going to be like, oh, instead of a giant person, it's a giant zombie person, and we'll make it a zombie event and all that hogwash? It is clearly ridiculous. And we actually have a part-time game dev with us today, folks, in St. Hugo. Hugo, what do you make of this insane situation?
Well, as I said before, I was never a fan of Call of Duty. I've been playing Wolfenstein 3D and Doom when they came out, so I'm a bit older. And when the first Call of Duty hit the shelves, it was just, from my point of view, a rather boring, run-of-the-mill military shooter. And, well, it is about time they get desperate. It doesn't matter if they go with a potted plant. This dumpster fire just keeps me warm at night. Something to laugh at. That series should just die. It should have done so long ago, after the first entry, basically.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
This is Hugo is a German with a sense of humor. They're not usually as upbeat as Hugo is here. So,
but you know what I was going to say about this, and this is the thing that's sad, is this is just an example of what happens when your brand becomes so large that you think that it's too big to fail, and people are just going to buy it regardless. They're not going to pay attention to the content. They're just going to just churn it out, just churn out the slop, and people eat whatever you throw at them. You get serve them a plate of shit, they're going to buy it. And this is what's happened to Call of Duty. They just figure, oh, we're too big to fail. We can do whatever we want, and we're not going to get chumped over it. And they were wrong. I think that people are looking at this like, where the hell is Call of Duty? I spent $70 to buy a Call of Duty game, and I found what seems to be Borderlands mixed with a hint of Resident Evil, mixed with a hint of, I have no idea what the hell this is. And that's bad.
I'll tell you this, folks, right? When something gets too big, it has to fail, right? That is the mindset that we need to understand, right? There's no such thing as too big to fail. It's you're so big, you must fail. But Byron, what do you make of this whole situation? Any additional points on all this?
Yes, just a couple briefly. Firstly, that Bloodflower thing puts me in mind of an old Clive Barker short story from his second Books of Blood, a story called A Walk in the Park, wherein the primary protagonist who is telling the story talks about how he woke up one day in what he referred to as Un-London. It was kind of a strange nightmare version of the city he knew and loved. And when he went to go walking through a nearby park close to his apartment, he saw that the plant life, the flowers, had grown gigantic and carnivorous and were chasing down and eating the homeless people who used the park as their refuge. So it put me in mind immediately of that story, but that would be ascribing literary ability to anyone working on this project, which I don't think exists. I already mentioned that the giant harper, again, the model and the movements put me immediately in mind of the Collector Reaper from Mass Effect 2. It's like the folks working on Call of Duty have not only decided they're too big to fail, but they're too big for anybody to recognize that they are pretty much copy and pasting intellectual property ideas and concepts that have been done far better by far more relevant individuals, if someone could point to the original material that they're being stolen from. There's also the giant monsters thing. Yes, we think of God of War, but I would also caution you to think of the giant scarecrow in the first Arkham game, that fever dream giant scarecrow boss at the end of that nightmare sequence. Similar movements, similar size and scale, going for the horror angle. Again, it's something that we've seen done better by a properly functioning development team that has a vision and has a framework, a genre framework, where you can do something like that, and it would make sense. This is something out of the bad, like, thrown away levels from Clive Barker's Jericho. Does anyone remember that game on the 360?
I remember that. Oh, goodness.
Terrible game, but it's, again, I have a soft spot for Clive Barker, so I kind of gave it a pass.
Well, it was a very interesting concept. What we're seeing with Black Ops 7 is a fundamentally unoriginal, unimaginative concept that doesn't have any kind of foundational origin to what Call of Duty was all about. Folks, remember how Call of Duty started, how it developed, how it evolved? I think it took a step too far when it went from advanced warfare to infinite warfare, because now we're fighting fascists in space. It's like, okay, folks, we need to dial this back. But no, the folks over at Activision Blizzard, now part of Xbox, are like, we're jumping down the rabbit hole and we're plowing gigantic red period flowers.